Hi everyone, Shabbat Shalom. I hope you've all had a really good week and had a great 4th of July weekend last weekend. And whatever you did for that. Again, time for another of our Torah studies. We're going to put the news off to the side. I've got my kippot. I'm going to wear this black one. I don't think I've worn this one for a while, but maybe I have. Don't know. Anyway, put that on. We're going to read, as always, from our Tanakh, a bit of Torah. Before we do, we say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to engage with words of Torah. We are reading a Torah portion called Pinchas, which is named after an important character in the portion, but we're not going to read his story, because there's a couple other stories there that I think are more relevant now. We're going to Numbers 27. There we go. So what's going to happen here is there's this guy named Zelophehad. Yeah, kind of an unusual name for us. Zelophehad. And he has 5 daughters and no sons. And he dies. And the question is, can his daughters inherit his land? Because back then it was very patriarchal. Now it's kind of patriarchal, but back then it was very patriarchal. And so they go to Moses to ask if they can inherit his land, because otherwise the land doesn't go to them, it's going to go to someone outside their family, so they lose it, but also these women then won't have any wealth at all, which of course leaves them very vulnerable. So that's sort of what's going on. The daughters of Zelophehad of a Manassite family came forward. The names of the daughters were Mala, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirzah. They stood before Moses, Eleazar the priest, the chieftains, and the whole assembly at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and they said, "Our father died in the wilderness. He was not one of the faction, Korach's faction, which banded together against the Lord, but died for his own sin, and he has left no sons. Let not our father's name be lost to his clan, just because he had no son. Give us a holding among our father's kinsmen." Moses brought their case before the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, "The plea of Zelophehad's daughters is just. You should give them a hereditary holding among their father's kinsmen. Transfer their father's share to them." So, pretty straightforward solution, where God says, yep, they have a good point. Those daughters should inherit their father's land. And case closed. There's not really any argument. What I want to bring up is, at some point when they're talking to Moses, the daughters say that their father was not part of Korach's group. And Korach, we read a couple of weeks ago, was that guy who challenged Moses and Aaron, and as a result of that challenging, God had the earth open up and swallow Korach and his followers into the earth, which is obviously a very bad result for them. They all die. It's very clear that this is God's wrath that punishes them. So it isn't just Moses is mad at them, God is mad at them. And these daughters make it very clear that their father was not part of that group. Which I think it's an interesting thing to point out. Like, we read it a couple weeks ago. If they hadn't said anything, then we wouldn't have thought of it. But that they do, we're now forced to remember, oh right, this thing happened not that long ago to the people of Israel. So these daughters want to stand apart from that event. And I think that's very relevant now as the country seems to grapple with its history and with what happened in the past and how much does that affect things now. And I think that it's a very important lesson that it can be incumbent upon us to stand up and say, that stuff happened back in the past, and we weren't part of it, but, well, now you're getting to see you think in real time. that actually doesn't really work now, because that's not the right argument to make, because it says they didn't do it, and so I'm not answerable for anything. I never owned slaves. I never oppressed a black person. I never got sick. I never voted. So whatever. Oh, huh. Yeah, sometimes the Torah's lessons don't actually really work the way that we expected to. So I don't really know what to do with this. Huh. I guess then it would be that on the one hand, these women rightfully do point out we weren't part of that situation at all. You know what? It'd be different. Yeah, okay, here's where we'll go. It'd be different if they said, our father was part of Korach's group, but we weren't, so we didn't have anything to do with it. But they don't say that. No. So, being Jewish, my family came here, I should say my Jewish family came here in like the late 19th century, so like the late 1800s, so after the Civil War. So they didn't own any slaves while in America, because that wasn't a thing that you did in, 1880, 1890. But I still look white. And a lot of people treat me like I'm white and not like I'm Jewish, in the sense that I get white privilege, even though some white privilege is Christian privilege, because, like, everyone knows what Christmas is, not everyone knows what Hanukkah is. Some people call Hanukkah the Jewish Christmas, and that's wrong. But even though my family wasn't involved in any of that stuff, and even though I'm not involved in any of that stuff, I still benefit from it. And so it's still my responsibility to try to rectify the situation, even though I did nothing to cause it. Even though my family, during the Civil War and before, was living in Russia and Czechoslovakia and Germany and dealing with pogroms against them. And they were being oppressed and they were being killed. But that doesn't matter, because I live in America now and I need to deal with the American issues going on, and I can't step aside from that and say, I wasn't here, I'm not involved. I need to step in and become involved. Huh. Alright, well, now you've seen my thought process in real time, because I thought I had a good point, but as I was saying it, I realized that it was wrong, and that's not the right lesson to draw from this Torah portion, from any Torah portion. Cool. Well, I hope you enjoyed that bit, sort of behind the curtain, as they say. Huh. All right. Cool. Well, sometimes Torah is very challenging like that. Anyway, we're now going to play some Misha Barak by Debbie Friedman. If you know anyone who's sick in need of healing, either from coronavirus or maybe they're sick from something else. I've been having kind of a sore throat recently. Or maybe they're just tired or have some mental well-being that they need taken care of. Or if there's just something else stressing you out and you kind of want to take a moment to refocus and center yourself, this is the great song to do it to. This is the time. There we go.
Find the courage to
Okey-doke. So, thank you all for joining me for this Torah study. I hope you learned something. I know I did. Have a great weekend, and I'll hope to see you all again next week. Shabbat Shalom.